Yeah, again, I guess 5 weeks in a row disappointing with the outcome of the game. And there's certainly some things to build on, but also certainly some areas of concern. When you look at it, I look at it defensively, and thought we started out like gangbusters. I mean, at the end of the first quarter, they had 5 carries for 5 yards. I thought the defense was playing pretty well. We gave up that one big play. We're able to capitalize on a turnover and found ourselves up a little bit, but then 21 missed tackles during the course of the game, and 16 of them with the linebackers and the safeties is a problem. I mean, 10 missed tackles is a lot, so to have 21, I give UAB an awful lot of credit. The running back is a strong, powerful runner, but we've got to do a better job just fundamentally of tackling, of staying square, pad level, and then the biggest thing is wrapping arms. I mean, we're coming up, we're hitting people, but we're throwing a shoulder at them, and when you get a 220-pound back, he isn't going to go down. You've got to take away the engine room, which are the legs, and wrap your arms up around his legs and try and get him on the ground any way that you can. But that was the biggest disappointment for me, was just the way that we tackled defensively. Offensively, I thought there were some things to build on. Watching J.D. Head to have his first start, play as a freshman, I thought he did some really good things managing the game. He didn't turn the ball over. We didn't have a turnover on offense. I think we had our highest rushing output on the year against the number 2 defense in our conference in UAB, rushing for about 160 yards. I thought Chris Fournier went over and played left tackle for the first time this year, which I thought was a really good move for us offensively. I thought Dakota White stepped in and really did a nice job at the right tackle. Abe Delphin and Joshua Moak continue to be staples for us up inside, but I think that unit is really starting to gel and come together. Keon Henry Brooks and Marcus Williams, I thought, did a really good job running the ball. I thought the inside and outside receivers played well. I think we scored 38 points. I mean, I thought there were a lot of good things to build on offensively. We hit a lull there with a couple missed assignments and just overall execution that we've got to do a better job with in the second and third quarter. But overall, I thought the offense played pretty well. And special teams wise, I mean, Smoke drops a punt, which is, I believe, the first one he's dropped in 2 years of being back there. Not something that you see very often. He's been very reliable for us back there. And then we gave up our second fake punt of the year, which is something that can't happen. Our defense works too hard to get a stop to have to go right back out on the field. And those are things we found ourselves really, and I'll say we were unsound in what we did. They did a nice job of executing it, but we were unsound. We were supposed to have a guy at a linebacker level. He wasn't there, but we've got to take ownership of that as a staff, and that's our job first and foremost, to make sure that we get the ball back and that no fakes are successful. And that's the second one that was successful on us this year. And then with the fake punt and with the fumble on the punt, that led to 14 points. And all of a sudden you find yourself, I think it was 24-21 at half. But I think the key to it, the disappointment, was the way we tackled on defense. I know our coaches, our players, our staff, I mean, we all have to do a better job. Like I said, it was disappointing to lose, especially with that being the 7th loss. Took us out of bowl contention for the first time in the last 7 years, which is disappointing. But as we talked about as a team, there's still an awful lot to play for. We've got 3 games left on our schedule. We have the opportunity to play 2 of them at home in front of our family, our friends, our alumni, our fan base here at home, having an opportunity to come back at home. And we're going to do everything we can to send these 18 seniors out a winner and find a way to see if we can get on a win stretch here, going down a win streak going down the stretch here with the 3 games remaining. It'll be a challenge for us. We've got Charlotte this week, who's a good football team. They're 5-4. They beat Duke to open the season. They had a nice win last week and beaten Rice in overtime after Rice had beaten UAB. I mean, so it'll be a challenge for us, but we've got 3 games remaining on this, and we still got to keep putting this thing together and find a way to win to send these seniors out the right way.
Guys, got any questions for Skip? Go ahead, Ben.
Coach, you talk about JD getting his first career start.
last week. From an overall offensive perspective, how comfortable are you with him in terms of his knowledge of the offense, ability to, I guess, kind of in a sense be thrown to the wolves and really call whatever you need to call with him in there?
Yeah, I thought JD, the moment certainly wasn't too big for him. And that's the thing you worry about when you put a guy out there for the first time as a starter. Is the moment going to be too big for him? Is he going to try and do more than he's supposed to? I think there were some great learning lessons for him when he slid in the open field a yard short from the first down. And I got on him a little bit and said, I don't have a problem with you sliding, but I don't want you sliding in the open field when there's nobody around you. You slide to avoid a head-on collision. As a guy that's 170 pounds, I mean, you worry a little bit about him taking some of those shots, but in the open field, compete for the first down. And then he came back later during the course of the game and had a great scramble where he made a guy miss and spun and got into the end zone. I mean, so I think the moment wasn't too big for him. I think he's got a great understanding of the offense. I thought he did a really nice job of managing the game. He wasn't perfect, but I thought he played really well for a guy being out there for the very first time. And I think a guy like that, it's going to bode well for the investment that we're making in a young guy now is going to bode well for the future for sure. Because I think I think J.D. Head's going to be a really good player as he continues to get comfortable in the offense and comfortable out there on the field. But JD's biggest asset is his confidence. I mean, JD's one of those guys that going into the game, he was like, Coach, I know you're worried about the offensive line, but I'm going to be fine. I just want you to know. I mean, JD's that guy that's like, don't worry about me. I got this. And he's, I think I say it's his biggest asset because whether he can do it or not, he makes you believe he can do it. And he's certainly not short on confidence, but he works hard. And he's got a great understanding of the offense and knowledge of the game. And I think he's going to be a really good quarterback.
Ethan, go ahead.
I was talking about the quarterback situation. One, can we get an update on Austin Kendall's health and whether or not he'll be playing for the rest of the season with no eligibility after this year?
Yeah, we're certainly still hopeful for this week. I think I would probably put him in a questionable. You know, if you look at him as he's probably going to play, he's questionable 50-50 or doubtful. I would say right now he's questionable. It's really hard. We haven't done anything with him. This is the first time we're going to be out on the field today, and so we're going to learn a whole lot more today on what he can do. He's going to get dressed. He's going to go out there, and he's going to see what he can do today, and so we'll have a much better understanding of where he is physically and what he can do after today. But I'm certainly hopeful that he can play this week. And, you know, I look at it, we have 3 games remaining. I'd love for him to play all 3, but I want to make sure that he at least has the opportunity to play in one. I'm not going to put him out there if he's not ready. I'd rather sit him one more game and then have him play in the final 2. But we'll know more as this week goes on how he responds to treatment and how he's feeling.
Coach, you mentioned the success that you guys had running the football. Just watching the game on TV, it looked like you guys were doing some different things in the run game, extra offensive linemen with Jaron Gilbert, maybe some more downhill stuff. What was some of the thinking that went into that against UAB?
Well, you look at their defensive line and the tackles for losses, the sacks, and the things that they do. And so we just having a young quarterback, we didn't want to give him 2 open edges, meaning 2 split ends where there was just a tackle and nobody outside of them. There's an awful lot on a quarterback mentally when you play with just 5 linemen and a running back. And so by being able to play Jacob Adams, Jaron Gilbert, Isaiah Thomas, and those guys, we played a little bit more of 11, 12, 21 personnel where we got a little bit bigger, solidified some of the edges, took some of the reads away from JD, and gave our running backs an opportunity to get started. Didn't want to get into a drop back game with that defensive line and have them be able to just, tape their ears back and tee off on a quarterback standing behind the center. We moved the pocket a little bit more, which again is easier to do when you have an extra tight end lineman, fullback type body where you can move the pocket and solidify one side. And so we did. We were probably a little bit more conservative, I'll say, when you look at the personnel groupings and what we had. And we did that, A, because of their personnel, and B, because of having a young quarterback back there. And we wanted to be able to get a running game going for how we felt like we could move the ball against the number 2 defense in our league.
Ethan, go ahead.
So thinking about what the next 3 games may hold for your team, and looking back to last week, what is the mentality and the morale on the sideline after giving up a loss where you seemingly had a huge lead?
Yeah, I mean, and we had a lead at Mississippi State, we had a lead at SMU, we had a lead at UAB. I mean, we've had a number of games where we've had the lead and let it slip away, whether that's in the first half or whether that's even as late as the fourth quarter and them coming back. It makes it hard to lose games like that, but the mentality, like I said, when Sunday they were down. I mean, obviously nobody's excited about losing a football game, but they also understand there's 3 games remaining. I don't want to say the pressure of a bowl game is off, but I mean, because that's what we wanted for this football team. But I think with the leadership we have, when you look at guys like Trey Baldwin and Kelton Hollins and Chris Fournier and Josh Moat and Abe Delphin and Marcus Williams and some of the receivers and Griffin and Smoke and a lot of the guys that have played, and same thing on defense with guys like Jaden Cole and Khalil Ladler and Willie Baker. I don't think there's an ounce of quit in those guys. I mean, I know it's disappointing, but when you look at what your options are, you either roll up your sleeves, you compete and you fight, or you fold your tent and you say, I don't want to play anymore. But right now, I think this team wants to play. I think they're excited about having the opportunity to come back home and play. Like I said, we'll learn a little bit more as we get out on the practice field today. But from all indications, Sunday, it's kind of get up, dust yourself off, hit the reset button, and get ready to go again and go with everything you have and try and find a way to get a win as we compete for these final 3 weeks of the season.
Coach, it feels like, especially the last couple of weeks, Smoke Air is really beginning to emerge. How much of that goes into him really, truly beginning to understand? I hate to say beginning, he's a fourth-year guy, but understanding how to play the receiver position, from a leverage standpoint, from some of the looks he gets in coverage.
Well, and routes and some of the option routes and setting this up to run this and the little things that really make a difference. And Smoke is a really intelligent football player. He's really smart. He understands defenses. He understands the offense. I mean, he's a guy that we get a little bit complicated outside at times, but he's a guy that can handle it. But I think he's really, what's growing is his confidence, and I think it's his knowledge is power, and the more you know about a defense, the more comfortable you feel, the more confidence you have. But Smoke is playing with an awful lot of confidence right now. He's played a lot of football. He's been voted a captain of this team. He realizes people were looking at him. He's got a leadership mindset, and he is competing his tail off right now. And you're right, the last couple of weeks he's really been not only a go-to guy, but he's really stood up and he's produced. And we all know how electric he can be when he gets the ball in his arms in open space, and we're trying to do that as much as we can. And I think he's working hard, but he's being very unselfish. He's blocking without the ball. I mean, he's playing really good football right now.
Ethan, you got another one?
Yes, sir. Coach, going against a now more heavy passing game rather than last week's rushing game, what is the mindset for the defense that has been producing at a high level for most of the season?
Well, I think it's going to be a great challenge. When I look at Reynolds, the quarterback for Charlotte, I think he's a great football player. I mean, people may look at him and say he's undersized, but he's got a quick release. He's very smart. He's very intelligent with the ball. He's tough. He's a leader. He's a competitor. When you look at their wins, if they're in a high-scoring game and they get the ball last, he's going to find a way to get the ball down the field and put it in the end zone. I think he's a winner. I mean, I think he's a really good football player. So I look at him along with 2 running backs. And they've got some receivers that are playing really well. They've got a freshman that's really stepping up for him, had 2 key catches in the game last week, number 9. I mean, they're playing well as an offense, and they're throwing the ball and they're running the ball. They have some balance, a lot of RPO, run pass option stuff. but I think he's playing really well. I think our defense is going to be challenged this week with the offense that Charlotte brings in here. I know that I think Will Healy does a great job with his team. He's really done a great job of building that, taking it to a bowl game a year ago, and they're 5-4 this year, and going to come in here, and I'm sure going to be playing with a lot of energy, trying to get to that 6th win with where they are. So it's going to be a challenge for our defense, but I also think that they're excited about the opportunity to redeem themselves from what they put on film last week. I think they're angry. I think they're mad. I think they're upset. And I think they're determined. I think they're competitive. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to get back out on the field and see if we can put things right from the defensive side of the ball.
Anybody got anything else? Thank you, Coach.